So I started my acquaintance with the social enterprises in 1977. I started working in a whole food wholesaling cooperative, which is now Britain's largest worker cooperative. And then about 20 years ago I came to Brussels, and since then I've been helping to support the growth of social enterprises at European level, and then we have seen quite an impressive growth. I think the first thing I'd like to do is to try and discuss what the difference is between social entrepreneurship and social enterprise. And in reality, they're two faces of the same coin, because both of them are quite a simple idea, which is to achieve social goals, improve society, but by using business means. So that is producing goods and services and trading them on the market. And that's it means that you have an economically sustainable operation which isn't dependent on charity and can go on and with any luck grow. So really the difference is that social entrepreneurship emphasises the individual's role, the person who starts the thing going, whereas as it grows, of course, it needs an organisational structure, and that is generally a social enterprise. So there's a lot of interest now in the last few years from policymakers and also, strangely, from investors in social enterprises. Policymakers because they think it's a very good way to achieve social goals without bothering the taxpayer to pay for them, and investors because it's a good, solid, steady business with a growing demand, and it's also counter-cyclical, so it tends to grow when we're in recession. So social enterprises are more resilient economically than capitalist enterprises. And at European level recently there's been a thing called the Social Business Initiative, and that's really defined in a general way at European level what social enterprises are taken to be. So it's quite clear really there are three main criteria. And the first one is that there should be a primary social objective. So this is more than corporate social responsibility. The business is created in order to achieve a social objective. So to address poverty or homelessness, or improve the quality of food, or reduce waste, or whatever it might be. The second criterion is that there should be some limit on profit distribution or asset disposal. So we don't want to have false social enterprises which claim to be doing good while in fact they're enriching individuals. So at the limit, it means if you want it to be a firm definition, that at least half of the profit should be invested in the business. And that means it's creating a common wealth, which are a commonly owned pool of wealth. The third criterion is that there should be some sort of participative management, so some way of involving users or workers or both, or other stakeholders in the business. So those three general criteria have remarkably cohered the movement and given a very high visibility to the sector, although it maintains an incredible variety within that. And it's also a very big sector because it's something like 10% of the gross domestic product of the EU. It employs 11 million people in the EU, and 1 in 4 new businesses that are being founded are social enterprises. And talking of resilience, it's really the only sector that's created jobs during the recent financial crisis. So it's a very exciting place to be. Some of the characteristics, really a key characteristic of social enterprises, is that they combine multiple benefits by using multiple resources. So they're not just trying to create profit, they're trying to create a social objective, and they can use earned income, grant income, volunteer time, or whatever. And an example of that would be, say, a furniture recycling business that is creating, say, 4 benefits. It's conducting work integration, so it's creating work for people who are hard to employ, disadvantaged in the labour market, as we say. So it's creating social inclusion that way. Secondly, it might be providing vocational training in specific job skills. Thirdly, it would be reducing waste by recycling old furniture. And fourthly, it would be reducing poverty, because when it sells that furniture, people who don't have much money can benefit from good products. So that means that you've got really a social enterprise can make a niche business work where a conventional enterprise can't do it because it doesn't have that flexibility. So it's a very varied sector which can answer many social problems. When we're talking about participative management, most of social enterprises are in fact part of the social economy as well, which is usually taken to mean basically cooperatives, but also mutuals and associations and public benefit foundations. And those take the participation to its logical conclusion. They're democratically organised so that votes go to people and not to money. So it's one member, one vote, not €1, one vote. And that cooperative movement is a very strong and worldwide movement going back for 170 years now in its modern form, and now with something like 1 billion members across something like 100 countries in the world. And so it's a very important in many, particularly in developing countries, for the welfare of people, but also some amazingly large businesses, and notably banks, are organised as cooperatives in the developed world. So it's a very successful and tenacious organisational form. Now, social enterprises tend to grow by hybridisation and developing new forms, and it is possible to imagine environmental objectives as being social objectives at long term. So more recently we've seen a more specific sort of social enterprise dubbed a transition enterprise, which has been defined. It's not a particularly popular term at the moment, but I think it's going to be so. And that adds to the normal cooperative principles of participation and equity. It also adds resource use, localization and resilience to the values it's promoting. So I think that social enterprises in whatever form are going to grow very fast in the future. They usually grow by networking, so I'd encourage you to find a network, join it and do something about it. Thank you.